Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Well,
We are in a brand new studio.
we certainly are.
Steve, do you want to explain the camera angles to everybody?
It's a really small studio.
Before the show, Steve's like, okay, so we're in a new studio. We got to explain that we're in a new studio and got to explain the camera angles to everybody.
Because you know they're going to be like,
Camera angles!
We didn't. You can't get a shot where all three of you are in it?
No, we can't.
101. You idiot.
So we're in a temporary studio right now, which is actually brand new. So I think we're the first people to use this, which is pretty cool. We are the first ones ever to record in here. And it's one of the first ones they have set up. Eventually, we will move over to Sportsnet's backup studio, which looks phenomenal, by the way.
Maiden voyage.
Brand new stuff, so we're excited to be in these studios and working on this. And
I am not.
But eventually, we'll get a bigger studio, too, so that way we'll go back to our normal camera angles. Right, Steve?
Yeah, we'll get a 3-shot. And everyone will be happy. Jesse, by the way, has the strongest fingers I've ever seen.
Yes.
Adam and I are just reefing on these microphones that have like some sort of weird.
Well, the microphone stands
tightening.
themselves.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
They move.
Sorry.
They move a little bit on you sometimes, and they're brand new. And you tighten them to lock them into position.
Yeah, and Adam and I are literally grunting, trying to tighten them, and Jesse, with ease, does another full turn.
Yep, because he has man strength.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Wait till Jesse's a dad, and then he'll have dad strength.
Oh,
like
dad strength.
he's already got what I will have, hopefully a dad level. He's gonna go a dad above that.
Yes, Jesse?
Leo was born a dad, right?
Leo
Like,
who? Uncle
Leo.
Komarov?
Yeah.
Oh,
like when he was
probably.
8, he had dad.
He was a father.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that meme. Are Karens born, or do they just appear with 3 children asking to speak to the manager?
Yes.
It's true.
Oh my God.
There are some people I'm like, what was it like calling you Don when you were a baby? Like my Uncle Don, I always looked at him, I'm like, I cannot imagine calling a baby Donald. I can't.
This is my 4-year-old Margaret.
My aunt's name is Margaret. Same thing.
She was born an aunt.
She was born an aunt.
She was
had
never
to be.
not an aunt.
She was never not over 30.
Yes.
Had to be.
This is my 3-year-old Arnold.
Yeah, right?
No.
It's weird. Like the youngest I can see in Arnold is like 11 or 12 because of Hey Arnold. That normalized Arnold
that's
for me.
fair.
You know what I'm saying?
But you have to have like some terrible medical condition where you have a football head.
That's right.
Steve
Steve Dangle Podcast Night is this weekend!
I'm excited.
Sunday, October the 22nd, 4 o'clock, Marlies Checkers at Ricoh Coliseum.
The Charlotte Checkers.
Now, when you're buying at the game,
everyone come watch the Marlies play the Charlotte Checkers.
Can Steve tell the story about how many attempts it took
Oh
to
my
tweet
God.
out the...
So they sent a poster that had a spelling mistake in it because it said Charlotte instead of Charlotte.
or Charoliti.
And so I tweeted it out. And then I discovered the mistake. So we fixed the mistake. And then I tweeted it out again. And then I made a spelling mistake. So I deleted it. And then I tweeted it out again. Guess what? Another spelling mistake. And then I deleted it. And guess what? We discovered another spelling mistake in the poster. So I deleted it. So then we got another poster. And then I don't know. At the end of it, I just went, oh, never mind. So people might not come.
Basically,
They
is.
think the event's canceled because I got frustrated with spelling errors.
No, we'll tweet out the right poster today. But the key is this.
This Stammer Day. No, this Smum Day. The Toronto Marls.
The key is marlies.ca to buy your tickets. Put in the promo code SD Podcast, as in Steve Dangle Podcast, because it is the
That's
official
not confusing.
SD Podcast or STP Oddcast, whatever. It is officially Steve Dangle Podcast Night, and it's not even a night. It's an afternoon game. But they're calling it Steve Dangle Podcast Night with exclusive post-game skate with Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake. Some people are asking, guys, I already have tickets to the game. Can I bring my skates and still join you for the skate? Yes, absolutely.
How do they get down? How do we know that they're actually a member of the...
Well, they brought their skates first
if
off.
they-
That's normally, that would
No,
be...
but they're not allowed, are they?
Yes, of course they're allowed.
No, who's making the ruling on that?
I am making the ruling.
I don't think you have authority.
I will talk to Harrison and Harrison's our guy with MLSE.
We're not allowing posers into our skate.
Exactly.
You need to buy the SCP tickets.
Don't wear a Thrasher hoodie unless you're a skater, bruh.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I want
Little
people,
John in that video one time.
I want people who used our promo code to skate with us.
Oh.
Not these regular Marlies fans.
Listen, I accept all people. I accept all.
I am not inclusive.
We're going to pay Matt Martin $75 to be security for that game. So that's right. The big bucks. $75 for Matt Martin.
I'm sure
To
$2.5 million a year Matt Martin really cares about that.
He can get a Reimer figure and then have $15 to do whatever he wants with.
It's true.
Just to be security for a couple hours. $75. Matt Martin.
So Sunday.
This podcast's already off the rails.
It's a little.
That's basically since the first episode.
Some might also call it not good. Ooh, hockey cards.
Okay,
Thank you, Jesse.
we'll save that for later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Marlies, Checkers. Again, it's SD Podcast for your promo code, marlies.ca to buy your tickets. And we will see you there. We're very excited.
Spelled S-D-M.
Okay, nope.
Q.
No.
Okay, all right.
So let's...
You're right.
I have a question.
What is that?
Can we make it through an entire show
No.
without talking about the greatness of Auston Matthews?
Oh, I was going to
Why
say.
would we want to do that?
First
Because
of all,
that's what everybody's talking about
he's
on Twitter
not getting
this
his
morning.
due. I think we need to talk about that. I am
That's an
so
article, right?
sick of hearing about Brock Besser and Nikolai Ehlers and
Nikita Kucherov and Ovechkin, all
what's
these
the
bums.
red and blue? The Leafs just played them.
Oh, you mean the lesser team? Just
Yeah,
the lesser
Carey
team from the original?
Alouettes.
Alouettes.
I'm
There
so
we go.
sick of
Yeah.
Kerry Prince and the Alouettes, and I'm tired of Quebec Nordiques. I'm tired of all of them.
And Jonathan Drewman? Drewman?
Who cares about
Whatever.
Drew, man? We actually, I saw a very good tweet just before we took the podcast air from theleafsnation.com. Report: Sens fans are stressing about Auston Matthews again. You know how irrelevant the Sens are? We were going through every Canadian team joking that we didn't know about them. And we didn't even joke about the Senators because we forgot.
Wow.
That's how
Steve.
forgettable they are.
I
We
think-
can't even fake forget about them. We
think-
legitimately forget about
I
them.
think the Leafs Nation is, they are definitely making a lot of jokes this morning
You know
because...
how irrelevant the Sens are? They can win the Stanley Cup and it wouldn't count. Would anyone count that?
Yeah.
I think it would count.
No.
I mean,
It would be
1917.
several
Listen, they won in
rungs
1917, and don't you forget it.
It would be several rungs below Carolina winning, which I still...
Hey, Rod Brindamore did stuff.
Did the Stars win?
Yeah, the Stars
Allegedly. They probably just
But
handed
like
it to the
Buffalo
Devils that
kinda
year.
won.
No,
I'm not even talking about the... Oh, wait.
Buffalo
did the
did.
Stars win twice?
No, just the once.
No, just once.
Buffalo
See?
did not.
Exactly.
By the
What
way,
year? What year?
99.
Oh, you're good.
I watched that game.
Way to trample all over my point that was wrong.
Sorry.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, what I was going to say was that I think Auston Matthews does get an inordinate amount of conversation, as does Connor McDavid, as does Jonathan Drouin in Quebec. And the reason for that is A, superstar, B, biggest city in the country. Yeah. Do you think that baseball fans like hearing about Aaron Judge every single day? Do you think they liked hearing about
All rise.
Derek Jeter for 20 straight years? Every highlight pack featuring the New York Yankees had at least one Derek Jeter reference from literally the end of the 80s up until a couple years ago.
I'm all for Sportsnet's baseball coverage, but when are they going to start covering Canada's other teams? I want to hear about some AA team in BC. We need to hear about it. We need to hear about
the difference is that these are professional teams.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s son again and some crazy triple he hit.
Isn't he also Vladimir Guerrero? No.
Yeah, he's Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Junior.
Yeah, he said Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s son.
Junior's son, you're
So
right.
his son?
He was born a father, like Leo Komarov.
Well, no one's named Vladimir when they're
Yeah.
born, right? Like they're just
He was just
a
born
fully
Vlad
raised
the
adult.
dad.
Vlad the dad.
Vlad the dad.
But
Look,
seriously though, is
yes.
there an inordinate amount of Auston Matthews coverage? Yes.
Yes. Now, Berkshire wrote something, I think it was a couple weeks ago, actually. Might have even been before the season. And it was Auston Matthews is even better than we think he is. Which
I read that.
was it good?
Yes, it was.
Did you learn?
I did because he
learned?
He used these weird, crazy things called numbers
Crazy.
to back up what he was saying. He wasn't just speaking poetically. He was going, here's some math and science.
Yeah. So it's the biggest market. He's off to an incredibly hot start after a very hot rookie season. He's got 2 overtime winners in his last 3 games. And they're 5 games in. So, yeah, people are talking a lot about Auston Matthews. And, yeah, it's entirely possible we're not talking about him enough. It's entirely possible.
Well, and here's the thing. If Connor McDavid was, and the Oilers, and we'll talk about the Oilers a little bit later because they're definitely a topic of conversation. If the Oilers were playing like the Oilers can play and did play last year, they would also be a topic of conversation in a better light than they currently are. Connor McDavid is off. If Connor McDavid and Nikita Kucherov trade their starts, if he scores 7 goals in 6 games, the only thing we're talking about is Connor McDavid. And that's okay. That's okay.
Ovi.
By the way, 6 games in, everybody.
Yeah, calm down. Yeah, Vegas is definitely, like, what are they, 5-1?
5-1.
That's insane. That's crazy. They ice their, whenever they tweet out their lineup, I'm like, allegedly. Allegedly. That's definitely a fake team. That's not a real team. Brendan Leipzig's on the first line. That's crazy.
Is he with James Neal?
Sorry?
Isn't he with James Neal?
I think so.
Yeah. Pretty sweet upgrade for him.
And Vadim Shipachyov, who I'm not entirely convinced isn't like just a computer-generated player from like NHL 18. He might be.
Might be.
He's a Russian bot.
Here, tell me this.
I don't think he's real.
Prove to me that he's not.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, prove to me the world isn't flat. Prove it.
We need to raise money to just find out if Vadim Shipachyov is real.
That's right. That's right.
I'm starting to side with the flat earthers.
Are you? You and Shaq and B.O.B.
The Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving, of course. Yes.
So,
just a bastion of knowledge.
I just don't see the evidence against it.
There's a guy, what was his name? David, what's his face? The guy we keep talking about on Kiss.
Oh,
who has
I forget his last name.
Attenborough.
No, there's a guy named David something who has a YouTube channel. And for some, this guy's hilarious because going into hurricane season, he predicted that there would be a lot of storms in the United
Is this the
States.
guy who shouts the weather
David
predictions?
Mead. No. That's Frankie McDonald. That's different.
Oh, okay.
David Mead is a conspiracy theorist. Oh. And so going into hurricane season in the States, he goes, there's going to be a lot of storms in America. You make that prediction at the end of August. Well, yeah, because that's when the storms start in September.
Good.
So then I guess a lot of people went, this guy's onto something. So on September 23rd, he predicted it would be the end of the world. Planet X was supposed to slam.
Nibiru.
Oh, Nibiru.
Nibiru.
I've heard of Nibiru.
Was supposed to slam into Earth, and he had photo evidence from NASA. But NASA wouldn't acknowledge it. But the end of the world was coming, and people reached out to him for an interview, and he said, what? He said, sorry, I'm not available till next week. And the world did not end. The world did not end. And I believe yesterday was supposed to be his, because he predicted...
The 15th.
The 15th.
2 days ago.
He had photo evidence from NASA
that Nibiru exists.
Which is all about fake news because the world's not flat.
Right.
Cool.
And David Mead also, he did say that the 15th was also going to be the end of the world. That was the real end. It was the start of the end. So he said the world was going to end, but then he said, well, no, it's going to be like 7 years of ending.
Yeah.
It doesn't just end. It ends slowly, painfully.
So if you need me to do an interview and then pay me money, he's available.
Oh, does it cost money to have him on?
I assume. He's got to make a business.
Do you think he's got a fax machine like ESPN? Can we reach out?
We could. Yeah, if we want to have Greg Wyshynski on ever again,
we have to fax.
We have to fax him. By the way, the way this ties in, ladies and gentlemen, is Nikolai Ehlers is made up. He's made up.
It doesn't exist.
Connor Hellebuck. Yeah, that's how it's spelled. Sure. Yeah, where'd that Y come from?
Yeah.
I'm a Y truther.
No, let's actually talk about something that is legitimate. Did happen last night.
What?
Naheed Nenshi is again, for the third term, the mayor of Calgary. Now,
is that how you pronounce his first name?
Naheed, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it said in real life.
Really?
I've only read it.
That is weird, right?
It's one of those words
where you read it 1,000 times without actually hearing it.
Yeah, I've always just called him Nenshi.
Well, and everybody there
mind.
does. Everybody just calls him Nenshi. He's like Madonna. Like, he's like Nenshi.
Yeah.
Seal.
No,
yeah.
sorry, I just had a moment.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind.
That would be on his
Ronaldo. He's just got one of those names. Now, Nenshi won the election. We obviously know there's some acrimony between the Flames and Nenshi's administration. But I thought it was important to note. Remember, Calgary is... The Flames organization said that they were going to stay out of politics, obviously, right?
And Gary Bettman.
And Gary Bettman said that they're going to stay out of politics, too. So what was interesting about that is a couple things. First off, I was talking to my friend there last night who's in media, obviously because I was out there. I know some peeps, and she was saying to me...
Did you live in Calgary, Adam?
I did. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. She said that...
Is Tampa your second favorite team?
She said that, it was one of the worst elections she's ever seen.
What does that mean?
She said it was like
vicious,
Trump in
or?
Calgary. It was like people were so vicious to each other online. And we're talking even like every city's got its local celebrities, people who are good in business, people who are good media people. Apparently everybody was at each other's throats for months going into this election.
Okay.
So like the Celino and Barnes of Calgary was yelling
yes,
at me.
yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Lastman guys. Nobody's better, nobody.
Yeah, but the Lastmans
Except
are actually...
Lastman was mayor.
They're far too classy for that.
Okay.
No, I guess this election really polarized and divided the citizens in Calgary. And
it was very close.
So many people got out and voted that they ran out of ballots at certain polling stations.
Did you see the story where there was like a moose blocking the road on the way to a polling station?
It was Canadian.
So it delayed people from voting.
Like, Calgary's a big city, but sometimes a moose can still be found.
Canada is just full of places where they're like, sure, we'll build here. And
Yeah.
Calgary is kind of one of them, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like outside of Toronto, sprawling, there's suburbs and they get more sparse and then dense again. And man, when we were 5 minutes outside of Calgary when I was there, caribou or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, something with 4 legs and horns.
Nature reserves,
Antlers.
and then there's native reservations as well. Like, I mean, it's just land.
Like, how far do you got to drive to get that here?
Oh, wow.
Pretty far.
Couple hours.
Couple hours, yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this, first off, is that the guy who finished second, so Nenshi got 51% of the vote. Bill Smith was the runner-up, 44% of the vote. Bill Smith, good friend of Ken King.
Right.
Bill Smith did not have much of a platform, from what I understand.
Also, Bill Smith isn't a real name.
Well, yeah.
Should have stuck to being a goaltender for the New York Islanders.
And I'm not trying to put together some sort of political platform thing here. I'm just trying to explain. So Bill Smith didn't run on much of a platform per se. He was more just friendly to business in Calgary, and a lot of the major business leaders in Calgary got behind him. Nenshi, is a real Westerner in the sense that he's not a guy who loves high taxes or anything like that. But this is a guy that was a little bit more to the right conservatively than even Nenshi is. Now, beyond all of this, Sean Kelso, who is the director of communications and media relations for the Calgary Flames, tweeted the following, and I'm just going to read this verbatim, and you can discern from it what you will. I can't believe it, YYC, which is Calgary's area or airport code. They call themselves YYC all the time. Having Nenshi as mayor is worse than Donald Trump being president. Hashtag arrogant. Hashtag brace for disaster. Hashtag out of touch.
Yeah.
That tweet has since been deleted. And listen, we've all tweeted dumb stuff before, so I'm not going to take this guy to you're the director of PR and communications. You should be better, but we're humans. Whatever.
For example, come to the Steve Dangle podcast night at the Marlies.
So now this has happened. Now Nenshi's the mayor. Now
still.
Now Calgary, and specifically the Flames and the government of Calgary have to come together, stop the gloating, stop the peacocking, stop all of this shit.
Yeah.
And actually come together and figure out the arena deal.
Yeah, I didn't want to join in last night with the Nenshi one thing because
no, stop that crap. No one needs that.
I don't actually know any of his politics. I just know that the NHL wanted him to lose, so I think it's funny that he won because they wanted him to lose. After being like, "Oh, we don't do politics," and then directly getting into politics, I wanted to throw a little but I don't actually know if he's good or bad for the city.
He's been a good guy. He's been fine.
It's Calgary. It's none of my business.
Listen, there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, we're due for a change, but the change that was offered was not good for us. So we went with
Calgary. It's none of my business, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. It's just So one of the things that I got a message from a Flames fan yesterday named Jeremy, and he just said, my opinion in this election is that I'm just glad it's over. I'd like to see some change in the city, but at the same time, I know the city's at least in safe hands. I know I'll pay much more attention to politics, although I'd never run after watching this election. As a Flames fan, I just want an arena/football stadium deal that's fair to the city and fair to Calgary sport and entertainment. And honestly, that's what they need to do. Just move past this. It was acrimonious. It was terrible. Everybody's exhausted by politics in particular right now.
Yeah.
Come together, figure this out. This isn't that hard.
What I think it was a potential easy way out for the NHL. And now that it's no longer an option, they have to talk.
Yeah, they have to talk. And the NHL doesn't want to leave that market. So don't listen to what you've heard.
No, well, I mean, you know what? We were considering moving them to China, but there's simply no money to be made there. There's just no money. We'll move the Flames to the White House. Because we'll go there. I don't know. I'm sure Calgary listeners, and there's a bunch of you, congrats on it being over.
Yeah.
Congrats on it being done, and you know the Flames are going to stay.
Of course.
Let's be real here.
It's just a matter of, okay, what are we going to do?
Exactly.
Now on to hockey, shall we?
Yes.
Because that really was the top story. We should talk about it, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. I don't think anybody does.
Have we talked about how Yager's a Flame?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a Flame.
I think we need to rewind to the end of the season for a second. The end of last season. And I want to read a quote from a guy. And I want you to tell me if you can tell me who this guy was.
Ooh. Auston Matthews.
Guy.
Not getting enough coverage. Okay.
Guy says, I was tormented all season. Stamkos broke down, and I could not find partners with whom there would be a perfect mutual understanding. And for some reason, my coach wouldn't pair me with Jonathan Drouin. Although when we crossed one day, the game went really well. And there were guys who just sat in the team, as in, so this is, by the way, this is a translation, so it's not all perfect. They got their money and they stopped working. They knew that they had no competition, that Tampa would not take on anyone else. They did not play so well this year. This is evident from both statistics and movement. When I went out with them and gave them a pass, they did not even expect it. That's why I had a hard season, despite the statistics. Who am I?
Well, to prove that I listened to you very closely, Adam Wilde, I know exactly who you're talking about, and we even talked about it on the show. Jesse, do you know?
Go ahead, Steve.
Nikita Kucherov.
Correct. Who has 7 goals in 6 games to start the season.
He's a little bit good.
He's a lot good. In the words of John Cooper, he's a special player, which in Toronto translates to...
Auston Matthews.
No.
Oh.
Special player, head coach.
Special player.
Thank you. Now, that all kind of seems like ancient history, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even though it's 6 games into the season, it still feels like, it was a long time ago.
There was, I really should credit this guy. I don't remember who tweeted it, but they said the amount of players, I want to say it was the amount of players who were had at least 5 goals in the first 6 games. Last year was 5. This year it's 10.
Wow.
So goal scoring's come in bunches for twice as many players as it did last year.
Is it up overall, though?
That I don't know. I think it is. I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would have to be. The penalties are insane.
They are. And if I was watching the game last night, did you see the game?
No, I did not.
Okay, so very interesting. I wasn't sure about your theory about casual fans. I was like, okay, because you have this theory, Steve, about casual fans not being able to follow the game as closely as maybe they'd want to, or having a hard time getting into it because it is a little bit too complicated now.
I just worry about casual fans.
Well, and I agree to a point, but I thought, you know what, it's still followable. The basic rules are, puck go in net and, teams battle each other, right? However, there was a play in the second period that, quite honestly, I was baffled by, and I've been watching hockey for almost 20 years.
I read about this. I did not see it.
So it is a play that's in the second period. Starts with Justin Abdelkader on a breakaway. Justin Abdelkader shoots puck, but barely gets the shot off.
Fans on it.
Vasilevsky, who is the goalie for Tampa Bay, makes the save. Now, as Abdelkader shot, he fell as well. And he ended up knocking Vasilevsky's pad out of the way, and I guess Abdelkader was followed by Darren Helm, who was, potentially looking for a rebound for Detroit. Darren Helm shovels the puck in. Goal, right? No. Tampa challenges, and they find out that because they look at the replay and they go, well, Abdelkader fell and he interfered with the goalie. So whether he meant to or not, it's goalie interference, no goal.
That seems fair.
Fair.
Based on your description.
But what they also saw on the challenge after winning it, and this is what the referee saw, was that the ref had his hand up. He was calling Victor Hedman for hooking Justin Abdelkader.
To award a penalty shot?
Well, no. Originally, it was going to be a penalty. But because he ended up falling, because he had him called for the penalty, and then Abdelkader fell, then it became a penalty shot, which Abdelkader then took and scored on.
Wait. Well, all right.
Yeah.
That was a lot to unwrap there. I'm kind of glad I didn't see this ahead of time. Okay, Jesse's got it up.
No, I'm trying to get
Okay, you're trying to find it. So, they were going to call a hooking minor.
Because it looked like a hooking, because it was a hooking minor.
Okay.
Because he got him in the hands, but Abdelkader fell, and because Hedman interfered with the breakaway with his stick, now it's a penalty shot.
But it wasn't initially?
I don't believe it. I don't think that's what the ref was thinking, no.
Right.
I think his hand had gone up well before Abdelkader fell.
All right.
It's crazy. It's a crazy play.
And now, he doesn't need to fall for it to be a penalty shot, to be fair.
No, true.
Oh my God, what a shot by Kucherov. We're just watching highlights on the show now. How do you stop that? That's so unfair. All right. Is this the play coming up?
This is the second period.
Here we go. Sportsnet.ca. You can find all the highlights.
So there's Abdelkader gone. Hedman, hook. Then he falls. Then Helm scores. But it's not a goal.
That is... Now, is that a penalty shot, though? I think it...
I didn't think it was, but I guess it is.
Now,
so
see,
Cooper
that's
challenges
confusing.
not a goal, but then Abdelkader still scores. And that's what... There was like 8 million rules on display in that one play. Whether or not he deserved the penalty shot or not, I think he did. But it was just one of those, there are so many things... you called back a goal just for them to score another goal.
Do you want to listen to the
box now?
Do you want to listen
I mean.
to the referee's explanation?
Yes, because we need that because we just saw footage of Hedman getting in the box.
Challenge this play for goalie interference. Here's the call from the Zebras. Red hot, second period. Justin Abdelkader gets a breakaway and he is hooked by Victor Hedman. He crashes into Andrei Vasilevsky and then Darren Helm follows up and scores. Well, the Lightning challenge this play for goalie interference. Here's the call from the Zebras.
After video review, it was determined that there was goaltender interference. We have no goal. Tampa retains their timeout, number 77, 2-minute minor penalty for hooking.
So they called the penalty.
So it's no goal as Hedman goes to the box.
Okay.
But hold on a second. Moments later, the refs decide to discuss the situation, and they pull Hedman out of the box. They've changed their minds and changed the call.
The delayed penalty on the play was for a foul from behind on a breakaway. Therefore, a penalty shot is rewarded.
Talk about
John
indecisive.
Cooper.
John Cooper can barely believe the refs changed the call again. So Abdelkader,
And Abdelkader
takes the
comes
penalty
in.
shot, opens up.
Boy, that's a good
Beauty
move,
move.
too.
Five-hole.
That is a
for
good-
his
you know
second
what?
goal of the season. Game tied at 2.
They got it right.
I
Did
think
they not?
They got it right. However,
They did get it right?
I think they got it right
so.
too. However,
He had a clear path to the net. That's a penalty shot. If he's side by side with him and hooks him, or he's maybe got just a little step, then I guess it would just be the hooking minor.
now you guys saw
That's a clear. He was winning.
you guys saw that in highlight form.
Yes.
I saw that in real time.
Yes.
Took the better part of 7 minutes.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Almost half a period.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
That was something that we were taught forever and ever. Just don't argue with it. There's no point in arguing with it. Why do people argue with it? The ref is never going to reverse their call. I have now seen twice in the last 6-7 months a ref be like, never mind, no penalty. They did it there. They had a player in the box, took him out. And then there was one, I want to say it was a high sticking call on Roman Polak last season. He throws his stick up, guy throws his head back, high sticking call. I guess they watched the replay for whatever reason and they see Polak's stick did not make contact. Now, right call. They ended up getting it right in the end, which I guess is all you want, but Are we just going to review every high stick now?
Exactly. You can't do that. And you can't. You can't.
Like,
sometimes they're going to call the wrong thing, and that's just the way it is.
It's a very interesting play because the ref is not supposed to watch a replay of the incident, but in this case, they had that luxury.
So this
without it being frivolous.
This goes back to my theory of if you're going to have a game refereed by a human being, you need to allow room for human error. So what's the line? What's the line of acceptable human error? And I don't know what that answer is, but there are points when instant replay gets in the way, and I think we can all agree with that.
Yep.
And I think there are times when the ref makes misses a big call, and it's not called back, or there's times in history when that's happened, and they're also trying to avoid that too, and I understand that. What's the line?
I'm confused as to how they did the video review, made their decision, and then had to go, wait. Yeah, get back in here, and then... Like, to me, like I guess if I'm Tampa Bay, my frustration, even though they technically got the call right, in my opinion, my frustration as Tampa Bay would be, you made a final call, 2-minute minor for hooking. Now, Detroit may very well have scored. Maybe Tampa stopped him. I mean, Vasilevsky had a chance to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
It's really one or the other.
Yeah?
Yeah, how come you got to, after a video review, after talking about it with your peers, how come after all that, you got to talk about it again and undo that seemingly final call?
Right.
Should penalty calls be final, I guess, is the answer.
Well, and
that's the question.
And that's the thing, because then you're going back to whether or not the call is the correct call.
Yeah, like the poll.
So it's chicken or egg.
They made the right call, but they made the call. How often are you going to do this now? Oh, hockey. It'll be a great sport when it's done. I promise.
Will it? Hopefully.
Yeah, once it's ready.
Give me a sec. I got to pee. I have to pee so bad. I'm going to die.
Okay.
I'm going to die.
That's fine.
So anyway, complicated, but simple in the end.
Hockey.
Yeah. And Kucherov scored, so it didn't matter. 2 goals. That's a pretty amazing start. 7 goals in 6 games. It's nice to see him playing the way he should. And it's sort of nice to see Tampa playing the way they should.
Well, I mean, if you're going to call out your team the way he did, you better put up. And he is. How's Sergachev doing? Because clearly Kucherov does not need Jonathan Drouin.
Well, that's true. But he does have Steven Stamkos.
Oh, that little chest.
That guy, yeah.
That was the interesting thing about that stat I saw. And if anyone sees it, please tweet it at me and I'll retweet it. One of the guys who had more than 5 goals in the first 6 games, something along those lines, was Stamkos.
Really?
Last year. And, man, I forgot how hot he was.
He really was.
He was incredibly hot. He was like top 5 in the NHL in scoring, goals and points, I think, before he broke his leg. Yes, Jesse.
Sergachev has 2 assists.
In 6 games?
6 games.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And Ovechkin is 9 goals in 6 games. So, like,
well, that's
give
like
him
not
a little
even fair,
credit
man.
here.
That's so silly.
Yeah,
that's so damn silly.
When it comes to Tampa too, again, sometimes you watch a team for the first time this all season, and you're like, oh yeah, Chris Kunitz is playing with, I believe, Kucherov and Stamkos, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was. It's funny. One of the bigger images so far this season was JT Brown raising his fist during the anthem, and my little, blue card distracted brain was just like, hey, that's Chris Kunitz standing right next to him.
Weird.
I was just like, oh,
that's not bad.
Strange.
You go from Crosby to Stamkos and Kucherov?
No, that's not bad. Yeah, but I mean, what a privilege for those guys to play with Olympian Chris Kunitz.
Gold medal winner, Chris Kunitz.
Absolutely.
So Toronto does have a player that we should talk about.
Auston
and we
Matthews.
should definitely overthink this.
Auston Matthews.
And his name is Mitch Marner.
Yeah. My first instinct was to freak out.
Now,
then I thought about it for 5 seconds.
Mitch Marner is, in case you don't know, officially on the 4th line.
Well, how could you know? There's no coverage.
There's none. He's on the 4th line. Now, Babcock did say, as soon as the reporters gathered around, he addressed it. It was the first thing, and he was like, don't read too much into that. Line wasn't going. Tie goes to the veteran.
Yeah, his exact quote is, let's not read too much into this. Their line wasn't going, so tie goes to the veteran. How's that? Marner just happens to be the kid on the line. That's it.
Reporter Chris Johnson helped me out with my Babcock impression because he said one thing that's missing is every now and then at the end of your answer, you got to go, how's that? How's that? Is that good? That enough? You gotta challenge the reporter with how's that?
Why does he call Matthews Matty? There's a Matt.
Because he's a hockey coach.
But there's a Matt on the team. Matt Martin should be Matty.
They're both Matty.
And
He's
Matthews,
probably Marty.
He is Marty. I've heard him
Is
say
he
that.
Marty?
Yeah, they call him Marty.
I don't like that.
I love it. I know.
What are you
going to
tell Mike Babcock if you're Auston Matthews? Yeah, I don't like that.
He-
No, you're going to be like, okay, whatever.
I'll call him Doug if I want. I don't care. It's my team, my players.
Call him Doug.
Good player. Good coach. Good players.
JVR, that means could have easily been moved. That line has not looked great. Although, Mitch Marner has a goal and 3 assists in 4 or 5 games.
Pretty good fourth liner. The problem, Jonas Siegel wrote a really good piece for The Athletic on the whole ordeal. Like, just at even strength, they're just getting creamed. I think they've been outscored something. It's either 7 or 8-3. They've been on the ice for a goal against in every one of the first 5 games but one.
And it
4
is
of the
worth.
first 5.
I mean, it's a bogus stat, but Mitch Marner is a -6 right now.
You know what? It's a bogus stat until you look at two guys side by side. The first time I noticed it was I looked at who was leading the Leafs in scoring, and it was Matthews 1, JVR 2. Matthews, I think, was a +8. JVR was a -6, which was like, wow. Like, I know it's a bogus stat, but like in 5 games, that's genuinely difficult to do.
Yeah.
To get up to +8 and to get down to -6.
So what's been the problem with that line?
They're so brutal defensively, and we called it before the season began. They're blowing assignments. I don't know what it is. I don't want to blame too much of it on Mitch Marner. I know he wanted more penalty kill time, and there was a penalty kill goal in the Devils game in particular that I thought was kind of his fault. But like JVR and Bozak have been brutal in their own end of the ice since like the Kessel days, which was another thing that Jonas pointed out. He nailed it. I think he nailed it in his piece because he talked about what the Leafs lines will eventually be. So what they're going to be tonight, the Matthews line, JVR, Bozak, Brown, Marleau, Kadri, Komarov, Martin, Moore, Marner. What it's going to be is the Matthews line. I think it was JVR, Bozak, Brown, Marleau, Kadri, Marner.
Oh, he thinks that's what it's going to be.
Yes, and then the fourth line, which would be
Komarov, Dominic Moore / Eric Fair,
so
and
Komarov gets moved down. I feel bad for Komarov, but that transition has to happen at some point. He's just giving tough love to Mitch Marner, and I think he's 100% right. Ty goes to the veteran.
Damn, to see Mitch Marner and Patrick Marleau on the same line.
It's so gross.
That'd be gross.
A pure goal scorer and a pure playmaker. We talked about that. I think when the signing happened, everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to be with Matthews. He's going to be with Matthews." I'm like, I think Marner is the better fit, and I think that is the plan. And let's not forget, William Nylander was put on the 4th line last year for like a decent stretch,
Right.
and I don't know, worked, or it wasn't permanent.
Well, and it
However
worked
you
for
want to look at
and it worked for Connor Brown.
Worked for Connor Brown,
He's
and like
the most
that wasn't
recent
even
example.
a punishment.
No, it was the way it was coming out of camp. But Connor
Leafs have
Brown,
crazy depth.
they do, and Connor
Now they
Brown.
have Mitch Marner on their 4th line. Imagine when the Leafs' 4th line goes up against the Caps' 4th line. I mean, I like their odds.
Yeah. Well, I think
Dominic
that
Moore's
was
got 2 goals in 2 games.
that was one of the things that was a bit of an issue against the Caps in the playoffs. It was, Tom Wilson and Burkowski and some of those guys, the depth guys for the Capitals, I thought really came through for them in the first round.
And yet, Kasperi Kapanen 2 goals. In one game.
Fair. Totally understand. But I mean, like, it wasn't until Brian Boyle and Kasperi Kapanen came in there that they'd even figured out that line. They'd had almost no time to gel.
Yeah, it's so funny how they could not find a 4th line center last year, and now they got 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it had Eric Fair not got injured, you wonder if they would have had it for longer and not had to give up the pick or whatever. Who knows?
Never know. The
now-
magical game of what if.
Mitch Marner won't be there long, we don't think.
No, he might not even be there by the end of the game.
The lines that you mentioned, so Hyman, Matthews, Nylander, Brown, JVR, Bozak.
Which just makes a lot of sense because Connor Brown's probably one of the hardest working, most defensively responsible forwards on the team, certainly wingers.
And he can score.
And he can score. I seem to remember a game last year, it might have even been against the Caps. Brown was with those 2, had 2 goals. He had a 2-goal game. Once again, I don't remember how long.
Do you think, and I'm going to get back to my second question in just a second. Do you think that Connor Brown will make up for the mistakes that the other two make, or will he help spark them a little bit?
I think he'll help spark them because, I mean, it was a call out of all three of them, right? JVR, oh man, who was it against? He missed his assignment on Mark Stahl in the Rangers game. I know that. Bozak is just consistently brutal in his own end. Whoever ever came up with the narrative that Bozak is a defensive stalwart should be friggin' fired. I don't know I don't know how you pull that story out of thin air. I mean, Marner's one of the most tenacious of the three, but I saw a few different reporters talk about how Marner has never quite looked the same since getting beat up by Boone Jenner there with a hit. I don't think it's going to be permanent. I don't think that answered your question either. What was your question?
The question was,
away from it.
Connor Brown, does he help JVR and Bozak start to play a defensive game that they always should have been playing? And I'm frankly surprised that they don't know yet.
At very least, well, no. Because, I mean, like, Bozak's over 30. JVR is approaching 30, I think. He, at very least, is a guy who can help in that regard. That's why I think, like, Marleau with Bozak wouldn't be the worst idea. I also think, like, again, I think what Babcock said, often what Babcock says goes. I think it just adds to my theory that we're going to have an answer on JVR before Christmas. Bozak, too. I mean, you can't. He's a defensive liability. He's crazy.
He wins faceoffs, though.
Wins faceoffs. Okay, so what? I mean, it makes it worse. You're getting the puck. You're starting with the puck more often than you're not. And you're sheltered in terms of your zone starts, and you're still getting outscored to hell. Now, Anderson's save percentage hasn't been good while they're on the ice, but, I mean, the situations they've been putting him in are terrible. I'm not going to jump on the trade Bozak train, but it'd be interesting if they explored it. He is one of their pending UFAs.
So we have 10 guys for 9 spots.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
As soon as you trade one of them, a guy gets injured. And then we have 8 guys for 9 spots.
But then we've got how many defense or how many kids of the Marlies that are ready to go?
Do you hold on to them just in case one goes down?
I honestly believe, and I think this only because why not? If JVR walks, he walks. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, he brings 30 goals, he brings 30 assists. He's a net presence. He's a pain in the ass. He's really good in the playoffs, or at least I thought he was last year. I thought he was a really, really great player.
Generally, he's really good in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he tries.
He tries defensively, tries all the way through, and he seems like a really good team guy. Honestly, I don't see why you don't just go through with it.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards this team is so good, you keep everyone.
Just keep it.
And if somebody walks, then they walk.
Exactly. And and that's the thing is, the problem when somebody walks is that people go, well, that's bad asset management. You didn't get anything for them. Fair.
No,
True.
you got them for the playoffs.
You know what else you got? Their cap space. You got $4.5 million, and or 4.25 or whatever it is he makes, and then another 4.2 with whatever Bozak makes, and then another $3 million or 2.95 whatever Komarov makes, and you've got guys who can do that job. And I'm not saying, again, like I said last time, it's not that you're going to get one guy that's going to score 30 goals. That would be nice, but it's doubtful. But if you could get 2 guys in the lineup or 3 guys in the lineup who can score 40 or 50 together, then I think you've made up for the goals, and you've made the lineup on the whole stronger, and you're cheaper, and you've got some expensive contracts to come up. Let's not forget Jake Gardner's up at the end of 2019.
Pretty stoked about that. Oh, my God. Hear me out.
Okay.
Can you trade Tyler Bozak for defensive help?
No.
Maybe. Maybe as part of a package.
Who's going to make that trade?
No, it's not going to be like, I'm not talking like a Doughty or even a Hamonic. I'm talking, I don't know, someone.
No, but does that...
Can you trade Bozak? Let's simplify the question. Can you trade Bozak?
You can trade anyone.
Of course. Can you get something back for him?
I don't think you could get enough back for it to be worth it. You have an NHL centerman.
Hear me out.
With a ton of experience and playoff experience who can win faceoffs.
Can you get a player for Tyler Bozak who can play on your NHL roster?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Move Marleau to center.
Because he's done that before.
Yeah. And he's Patrick freaking Marleau. How bad could he possibly be defensively? his spot on the wing is easy to replace, I think.
It is. That's a good idea.
I mean, we've been talking about putting Nylander there this whole time.
But again, what's the return? Because here's the thing. If you get mediocre return for Bozak, then it's not worth it.
Sure it is. You might get nothing. You might get nothing, and he's a defensive liability. I'm with you on the team is that good, play to your strength, they're stacked up front. But if there's a problem, which we've identified, and before the season we even identified it, let's try to fix it.
Can you trade Bozak and get better?
I think you potentially could.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it
He's
depends
really good on the power play.
Okay, it would depend on
him.
Mike Babcock. We know loves guys who can win faceoffs. So it depends on how confident you are in Patrick Marleau's faceoff skill. The other thing that Mike Babcock has been doing a lot this year, which has really helped, it's unbelievable. Elliot Friedman had it in 31 Thoughts. Having the guys on their strong hands take the faceoff. So Nylander takes some faceoffs. Matthews, Nylander's on one side, on the right side.
He seems to have been taking a lot.
Matthews takes them on the left side. Do you know that Matthews' face-off percentage has gone from 48 to 57%?
6 games.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's a big enough stretch that it's a big deal.
Sure.
And I know that the face-off rules are also different too.
Yeah.
So those numbers might be a bit skewed. However, it's an interesting thought. And I wonder if, you put a Patrick Marleau and a Leo Komarov. Leo Komarov's taken enough face-offs that he knows. I mean, it's an interesting theory, Steve. But what's your return on a guy like Bozak?
So I'm looking at Marleau here. When he was playing center, he was consistently above 50% in the faceoff dot. And 2 years ago, he took over 500 faceoffs, 50.9%. Last year, he was at 53%, only took a little over 200.
That's still a
He
lot.
can play the position.
But
well, I mean,
again,
based on his faceoff, sorry.
But what is your return for Bozak?
I don't know.
Because we don't need another Ron Hainsey type. And that's what I think you'd get. I don't think you're going to get a young defenseman for Tyler Bozak.
Well, how about this? If you're going to lose Bozak anyway, he's essentially a rental you already have. What if you can get a Hainsey type?
I don't think that makes him better.
Some sort of defensive help.
I think that's more the same, dude. Adding another...
Connor Carrick's with Callie Rosen tonight. And unless Rosen really takes a step forward, yes, a Ron Hainsey type is an improvement.
If the lineup is Komarov on the fourth line eventually, is Komarov the asset you trade?
Or is Komarov potentially your center?
No.
I think they have options, man.
If he's the odd man out, is he the one you trade?
Again, I don't think you get much
I don't
for
want
him.
to trade
and then
him.
You plug in anybody on that fourth line.
Out of all the guys heading into the playoffs,
Leo's the guy I want.
I don't want to trade
okay.
Leo.
Because Leo gives you something that some of the forwards really lack, which is he is one of the strongest defensive forwards in the league. Numbers back that
penalty
up.
Killer too.
Great penalty killer. And that's the thing is that Leo Komarov playoffs on the penalty kill was great last year. So was Zach Hyman, and I think
does Bozak really kill penalties anymore?
No, I don't think so.
Not really.
Well, if he's not a strong defensive asset, why would he?
I just feel like I'm bringing 2013 back. Get Bozak out of town.
No, I think they've had a rough stretch. It's just the start of the season, but I wondered if, I wonder about what any of those guys fetch. I think if you're going to trade anybody, trade the guy with the most value because at least he'll get you something back.
Antoine Vermette.
What's the thing back?
Antoine Vermette, man.
JVR would bring you more back than Bozak.
That's why. That's why I don't think you trade Bozak. I think you trade JVR.
So you're on trade JVR?
But I don't think they will. I don't think they'll do that.
Okay. And which trade are you on? Just to get this straight.
Trade Bozak.
Trade Bozak.
But I get your logic, Jesse. I don't think they're going to sit on this, though.
No?
I'm
on the go for it.
I think they're going to sit on it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go all the way through the season with it.
Yeah.
I do. I really, really do. It's 6 games in, so it's hard to make a real, if it's 20 games, I'm like, okay, now we've got a trend here.
It's very strange. I wonder what the Leafs were thinking 2 years ago when they're looking at all their contracts, they're doing their armchair GM just like we are, and they're going, oh, trade deadline 2018 is going to be nice. And now they might keep them all.
But you know what? And so what if they all walk? There are guys in the Marlies.
That's a lot of walking.
Dude, I think you got to get past that. I think you got to look at...
It's hard for me. When was the last time the Leafs were in this position?
Yeah,
2004.
but look at it logically in the sense that you're saving, what do you get, $11 million?
Yeah.
No, $9 million.
That's just free money.
Dude, it's just, that frees up your cap. That is an asset.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you're talking about asset management, not having a bad contract or not having that much money extra on the books is also part of asset management. See, that to me is the win. They play for you, they play great, they go make a pile of cash somewhere else, and you have the opportunity to bring up then you go into camp next year with at least 3 jobs open, which is awesome because you got players like Kapanen, who's probably ready to go. Maybe Bracco takes a stab at it, although he had a rough camp, and I know he was sent back early.
I don't even know if he had a rough camp.
He was cut early.
I just don't think he played.
Holy
smokes! Did you see his assist the other day?
Was he good?
No.
Oh my God!
Missed it.
Very good. It was in the American League. It should be on the Marlies Twitter account.
I mean, maybe those guys take a step forward, and there's Kapanen's already ready, so that's one guy already. Soshnikov, finally a spot for him at that point.
Altonen. Perhaps.
There's 3 guys.
Do you just give it to Fair? No, I don't see, but we're going through. I just don't see this sustaining. I don't see it sustaining. Then again, 4-1.
4-1.
This is the interesting thing.
I'm just looking at, okay, let's look at some of the names here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Altonen, Bracco, Brooks. That's a guy that we might pay attention to next year. They also have Colin Greening, although I don't think they're going to bring him up.
No.
Andreas Johnson, Carl Grundstrom, who's not on the roster but is back in Sweden. They've got
all these guys don't get nearly enough play on this.
Kirby
podcast.
Reichel, Nikita Soshnikov, Dmitro Timashov.
Still on the team. I know, it's crazy. They put him on waivers and everything.
I want a Kirby Reichel jersey.
Yeah.
So these are there's so many options here.
Calvin Pickard, third line center. There it is.
Agreed. Done.
We got it.
Done.
I mean, you
All
want
right.
defense?
We're
We're talking about a guy who's never going to leave the crease. He's
Next
amazing.
year.
and stays down the center of the ice.
Yeah.
Next year, JVR, Bozak, Komarov. Out of those 3, which ones are on the team?
0.
0, eh?
0. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah?
I'm ready for it.
Okay.
God, I just don't know. God, I really don't know. I think maybe they find a way to keep Leo.
Well, if they can keep him at $2 million, I'm in. But
Yeah.
are you going to tell Leo?
Well, he's making 2.95.
Yeah.
So you're not giving him a haircut.
I think you might.
If he wants to stay here,
Leo Komarov
yeah.
is not going to make less.
If he
No.
wants to stay here, I think he has to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And this whole the talk about JVR staying here is so crazy.
Well, we saw. Come on. Someone responded to something that was said last podcast. I think you were talking about like JVR taking Connor Brown money. JVR would never take Connor Brown money. That's the point.
That's what I was
That
saying.
is what Jesse meant. It is ridiculous to expect he will take Connor Brown
No,
money.
he's
I
gonna
said
make a
he'll
pile of
stay if he
cash.
wants Connor Brown money, and then
Yeah.
anyways.
Which I think is also a little bit of hyperbole.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyway.
Now, let's just throw this out there. Here's what the Leafs have to deal with in the next 2-3 years. Matthews contract, $10+ million.
Yep.
Nylander contract, $7 million, probably.
Ish.
Marner contract, 6, 6.5,
Boy,
7.
am I worried for Marner. I'm worried for Marner's contract in particular. Because supposedly, I don't know if we ever really brought this up, but his agent is also Josh Anderson's, who also represents a bunch of other guys who have held out on their team and not attended camp, et cetera, et cetera.
And lost.
Yeah, well,
So,
I don't even want it to happen.
and then Jake Gardner.
Boy.
So you have, Matthews will be signed next summer, I would think. Nylander will be signed next summer, I would think, because they can already negotiate with Nylander. They can't negotiate with Matthews or sign anything officially until July 1st next year.
Nylander has to.
Well, yeah, Nylander has to, but I see that those two at least are locked up. And then, you've got Marner, who's probably going to want a huge extension too, and deservedly so. And then Gardner's the next summer. I mean, you can't get locked in. You can't fall too in love with some of these players that you've loved for so long. Leo Komarov brings a lot of great things to that team.
Yeah.
But Leo Komarov is also on the older end of his career.
By Leaf standards, certainly.
Absolutely.
Back half. He's
Sure.
just begun the back 9.
Yes. Do you lock up?
He's on hole 10.
Do you lock up that guy,
Par 3.
Yes.
or do you find a guy who can do it for a third of the price?
Boy, we haven't really had these conversations
I'm just saying.
On this show, actually. We have not had these conversations. Started the show in 2013. Leafs have sucked the whole time. Have not had this conversation.
Right. Sometimes you got to let your free agents go, and that's okay.
So what was your question? I was focused on the golf.
Well, I think
from a guy who's played like 3 games his entire life.
Your question was how many of them stay.
Oh, yes.
And I said 0.
Yes. And Steve said he couldn't decide.
I said because we couldn't figure out what Leo would make. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I don't think they're going to. It just doesn't financially make sense with those 4 guys coming up. Nylander, Marner, Matthews, Gardner. No way.
I just feel like the scientist in a natural disaster movie who saw the graph go crazy for the first time, and I'm trying to explain to everyone, you don't understand, JVR is going to get traded before Christmas, and it's going to be all kinds of chaos. And okay there, Mr. Scientist. We'll look over your JVR theories.
Steve starring in Geostorm with Gerard Butler.
Oh my God.
Is that a bad movie?
No, it's a new movie that's out, and it's about people who can control the weather, and they start a geostorm.
I knew it, said Dave from that conspiracy theory video.
Yeah. David Mead.
This is the Hollywood throwing you off the scent proof.
You don't believe in chemtrails?
I don't understand them.
Chemtrails are like the intro into conspiracy theory.
Yeah, basically that the jet fuel that's left in the air.
More like Tyler Barium.
You know the clouds that trail jets. Planes?
People believe that
Just
those are
utter silence.
People believe that those are cancer-causing agents and stuff.
The government controlling the weather.
There is
barium.
There is the proof that this did come out. The government of Canada dropped something called Agent Orange on people in the 1970s, on our own countrymen, and it made people very sick. And that was an experiment. Yeah, it was bad.
Why?
Read it up. I'm not getting into it, but that was admitted, proven, real
There's
thing.
a lot of crazy shit in history.
Yeah.
Like we just don't know about. Dude, I was at the Immigration Museum in Nova Scotia. The Christie Pitts riots. Like I feel like that should be taught in school.
Where they play baseball?
Yeah. There was riots there. Race riots.
Yeah, no, we never talked about that at all. The only thing they play up in Canadian schools is how, we were like the end of the Underground Railroad, like where people came to escape slavery and that sort of thing. But they don't talk about residential schools all that much. No. They don't talk about the fact that Halifax was highly, 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 highly segregated and that they moved an entire neighborhood of black people to make a freaking bridge.
Here's what I remember of Canadian history.
Come on.
Fur treaty.
Yeah.
Or
Hudson's Bay Company.
Yeah, we did Rupert's Land.
Yeah.
That one World War where we helped on the beach.
No. Then it's fur treaty, Rupert's Land, another fur treaty.
Vimy Ridge.
Then a bunch of stuff happened. So Laurier's prime minister, and you go, what? I feel like you skipped 200 years there. What?
Yeah.
Oh, Canadian humor.
Our history sucks. Like in school,
it's really interesting though when you actually do the research on your own.
The history is great, but when you learn in school, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Oh wait, no. There's a little pit stop, and we burned down the White House. Anyway, so there's this other
the
thing.
White House is white because of us.
Yeah,
it is.
because of cool.
Learn that 8 times. Anyways.
How awkward is this for like our New Zealand listeners? Just going, I don't get it.
They probably are in the same position as we are. I mean, they probably learned their own history. They're New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United States have a lot in common. All colonized by the same country.
All of kangaroos.
And all did about the same thing, right? Like, became countries about the same way, except for the United States. So I think that they're probably in the same position.
So our third line center next year.
It was just about to...
Hey, I do want to. It's a little bit too early to do this, but is Barry Trotz playing mind games with the Leafs when he calls them elite and relentless? Is he trying to get inside their head to make them complacent? Because there's been rumors about that head coaches are too complimentary to teams because they want the players to be a little bit like, I
feel like Barry Trotz is standing at my front door with flowers, but he doesn't know I have a peephole. And I'm not answering that, Mr. Trotz. You take your flowers and you shove them. I remember what you did in Game 6, jerk. No. Yeah, we are elite. Now we're going to prove it by beating you.
Yes.
Shut up.
We're going to elite the shit out of you. Sir.
Yeah. They should be called the Eliefs.
Right.
No. I don't think they should.
Hey, is it time?
Austin Elite Thews.
Is it time to panic in Edmonton?
No. Maybe. No.
6 games, right? 6 games?
Well,
that seems a little early.
It seems a little early. I thought Cam Talbot was better than this.
He is.
So that was confusing.
He is. Freddie Anderson's better than this.
Yes. Yeah, both of them.
Cam Talbot's better.
Who is their big... They're missing someone big on their back end, and I don't remember who it is.
Oh,
is it
Andres...
Sekera.
Sekera. And then Leon Draisaitl was just put on LTIR with his eye and concussion issue.
Yeah. Someone's going to need to get them out of this, and it can't just be McDavid. You know, we've seen it time and time again. It can't just be McDavid. So
What if it can?
Yeah.
What if
He is Connor
He can
McDavid.
do it?
I mean, he probably. I mean,
Like
if anyone
that.
could just one-handed Leroy Jenkins, it's.
Yeah. What if he could carry the team for a little bit?
I believe
till
that's the point.
till they stabilize.
Let me throw this out there. Milan Lucic makes like $7 million. Like, why not him?
Because I don't think he's good enough.
Okay,
I don't think he's got the skill to do
paid
that.
to be that.
Sure, but that's not his fault.
I guess. Patrick Maroon. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is an afterthought on this team.
He is. Crazy to think.
Yeah. Like anybody? Dude, is Jussi Jokinen playing? I thought that was a pretty crazy signing for them. Yeah, who do we got on the team?
Shootout specialist, Jussi Jokinen,
Yeah.
by the way.
Shootout specialist who can probably score 40 points for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucic, he makes $6 million. Nugent-Hopkins also makes $6 million. Wow, then they got a lot of really, really, really cheap forwards. Ryan Strome, 2.5. Cassian is under 2. Letestu is under 2. Maroon is he's 1.5. Jesus, that's good. Jussi Jokinen, 1.1. All of the following are under $1 million. Anton Slepyshev, Connor McDavid.
McDavid.
I feel like that will not last. Drake Kajula, Kyler Yamamoto, Iro Pekarainen, Juhar Kara. I always screw that up. And Brad Malone. Boy, yeah, they are a little lacking on names, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Why?
And Connor McDavid isn't even making $12.5 million yet.
He's making $925,000.
We need to look somebody up because I feel like there wasn't a big enough deal made of one very minor transaction. And I'm trying to. I can't even spell
Steve
hockey.
spelled hockey, DB, right?
I know.
That's what the play is.
Oh well, Jesse. Wait till you see how I spell this next one.
Don't even say anything. Just wait it up.
Okay.
Here, look.
Just make
Look.
it-
Are you
make it
looking?
as
Are
awkward
you
as
looking at the
possible.
name that I'm trying to get? He's not even. He's just letting me. Hey, I got it right the first time. Jesse Puljujärvi.
Oh, that guy who was sent back to the minors.
That was shocking to me. I know he only had 8 points in 28 games last year, but 28 and 39 in the AHL, 2 points through 3 games so far in the AHL. Like, I thought he was worth a look more than Yamamoto.
Maybe Jarmo Kekalainen was onto something when he picked Dubois over
Fourth
Puljujärvi.
line left winger, Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think that's his name.
Oh
Or
no,
is it
because
JP? I
no,
don't
because
know.
remember the way things work under Tortorella is you have to block shots first and throw big hits, and then you're allowed to score. Right? You got
yes.
to pay your dues, sir. Maybe Yamamoto had a better camp, comes in a little bit more fired up. Puljujärvi maybe thought he had a better shot. Who knows? Who knows what happened in camp there? But it is interesting that he's not playing up there. I'm sure they are expecting or were hoping that he would be there.
I can't imagine they're going to keep Yamamoto for the whole season.
Why not?
Because you can send him back to junior, and it just seems like the smart thing to do. Like unless he's the guy who gets him out of it.
But Steve,
What?
Oilers.
You know, I hadn't thought of it that way, Adam. I hadn't thought of it that way.
I don't know. I don't think Cam Talbot's going to be what Cam Talbot has been thus far forever. I don't think their defense, even though Sekera really hurts you, I don't think that they'll be as bad. And any team that has Connor McDavid on it is a great game-breaking team. No?
That's how as bad. Yeah, okay. Maroon has got 3 point. Boy. Wowzers. Yeah, they're not good, man. It has not been good. Yamamoto's one of the only few Oilers who actually has a point.
To be fair, they've played 4 games.
No, they played
Yeah.
4. They haven't played 6.
They played
played 4
4
games.
Yeah,
They're fine.
They're fine. Okay, they're fine.
Let's be honest here. After I said all those things.
4 games.
Yeah, see, Oilers, we talked about you.
You matter.
We spent a lot more time talking about them than we did Auston Matthews. So let's throw that out there. Let's applaud ourselves. Toronto, we're great.
What? You're a great guy, Jesse.
You're
Really
a good
great
guy too, Adam.
You guys are great. Sure, I'm lucky to work with you.
Rock on.
You know what happened? You know what's? I'm so glad that we were born in this fine city of Toronto, so that we can be such great global citizens.
Oh well, I mean, world class city.
World class city for sure.
Can we talk about Auston Matthews?
No.
Why?
Well, what do we need to talk about?
Because we haven't had a chance to fawn over that ridiculous game against Montreal.
Oh, but he's done that before. That's the second time this season.
Not against Montreal.
That's true. Now, Leafs snap a 14-game losing streak against the Montreal Canadiens, which I had no idea was that much.
It didn't seem like that.
No. Did they lose? They lost every game
You know
last
why?
year?
They've been. It's been really tight. A lot of them were 1-goal games. A lot of them were overtime. I think the Leafs even got points in a bunch of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
and what was interesting about that game was
a lot of 2-1 losses.
For me, it was, of course, Gauch scores.
Oh, and Petrie scores, and Drouin scores. 3 firsts.
Who's a better fourth liner, Galchenyuk or Marner?
Boy,
Tough call, actually.
tie goes to the veteran, Galchenyuk.
Good logic.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, nice. I'm sure nice for him to score, but I don't know if that helps him or his game. What is it with him? Why is it that he can't seem like... We know he's good. Why is he not considered good? Or why is he not playing well? Or why do they keep putting him there?
I think sometimes you just fall out of love. And I think maybe he's out of love with the team, and the team is out of love with him. I heard it was someone on the Fan. It was a reporter out of Montreal. They were basically talking about how Therrien, for the longest time, said, look, he doesn't have it at center. He can't do it at center. I don't think he can do it at center. Julian comes in, and I think he tried it, and after a very short amount of time was just like, he doesn't have it at center.
So maybe he doesn't have it at center?
Yeah, but then they put him on the wing to start the season, and they didn't like him there, so they put him fourth line on a team that's had trouble scoring.
If you're trying to trade a guy like that, putting him on the fourth line is maybe not the best spot,
Yeah, it seems
right?
like you're torpedoing his value, but, I mean, what are we hoping to get out of Mitch Marner being on the fourth line? Motivation? All right, well, Galt scored.
A little bit of a different situation, though.
Fair.
If the Leafs were
but he
losing
scored.
and Mitch Marner was on the fourth line, I think that's a different story.
Maybe.
If they weren't scoring and Mitch Marner's on the fourth line, I think it's a different story.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can do that when you're winning. You can go, okay, this guy's not playing great or this line's not playing great, so we're going to adjust things for a few games, see how that goes, and then go from there.
Something's, again, the Richter scale is going crazy. I think something's ready to pop. I still get the impression the Leafs are going to do something. There's this tourist business, this Duchesne business. The Habs have $9 million in cap room. That's hilarious. I never thought I would see someone mismanage their cap so bad that they would have too much cap room.
Yeah, it's true.
They meant to spend it.
But no assets to give.
Yeah, they meant to spend it.
Every single time people say, would Montreal trade for? Sure, but what are they going to give?
Charles Hudon.
Then you got another hole.
And Victor Mete. No.
No, I wouldn't give him up because you already gave up Sergachev.
I love watching Bergevin. It's again like that I Love Lucy skit where they're on the conveyor belt and he's just shoving him in his mouth, shoving him in.
And Mark Streit, they terminated his contract mutually.
So that they could bring David Schlemko back, and then supposedly he's not ready to come back. Yeah. It's all a mess. I love Eric Engels from Sportsnet, who just has a very dry way about him anyway. We've had him on this podcast.
He's the best.
And it was great hearing him on the Fan just talk about the Habs and how he's just like, well, they're doing this. And like he doesn't really show his hand very much, but the way he kind of Ben Steins his way through the Habs lineup and what the hell Mark Bergevin's doing is very funny to listen to.
Even Ron McLean, when he was on our show, said,
just like, I don't know.
he seemed like it. Like they're at the very least, Montreal's lineup is incomplete.
Yeah.
At the most, it's completely dysfunctional and full of holes.
Yep.
At the worst, that is. And I think that's where they're at right now. They're at the worst. Now, do they come out of this and are they capable of more? To be honest with you, I don't know.
Yes. Price has been not Price. The second he's Price again, they're at worst a mediocre team. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Montreal Canadiens genuinely have a hard time missing the playoffs with Carey Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. You really got to try. You really got to tank.
True.
You got to be like the Leafs 2 years ago. Boy, did you see that lineup that I retweeted?
I did.
Is that the Leafs against Columbus 2 years ago?
Holy mackerel. Jesse is looking it up right now. I wanted to Ralph. It made me so grateful that Mitch Marner on the fourth line somewhat makes sense. Mitch Marner would have been on the first line.
Oh, yeah.
Like back then when he was 16. Like, holy cow, was that team bad. Oh, Jesse found it. Would you like me to read this line?
A couple years ago, the Leafs lineup looked like how?
This was October 16th, 2015 from Paul Hendrick.
Literally 2 years ago.
Yes. A first line of Nazem Kadri centering Sean Matthias and Brad Boyce.
Are either of them playing in the NHL anymore?
Matthias is with
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg, that's right.
That's his hometown.
Bozak centering JVR and Komarov. Oh. Peter Holland centering Michael Grabner and P.A. Parento. And, of course, Nick Spaulding centering Daniel Winnick and fourth liner Joffrey Lupul.
Wow.
Current Leaf, Joffrey Lupul.
Well, that JVR Bozak Komarov line.
It was there forever. Komarov scored 20 goals or 18 goals or something that year. He's an all-star.
There are worse lines. I mean, there's your defensive accountability at least. Wasn't that when he scored 19 goals and made the all-star team?
Adam
it
just
was.
said that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. Pretty
Literally,
much.
I'm not feeling good.
4 seconds before you said that, Adam said, "Didn't he score 18
Jesse,
goals?"
it only remains for you to say it. Really, at this point.
Remember when I bragged about listening to Adam?
scored 18 goals.
I'm just looking at Brad Boyce, by the way. That was the last season he played in the NHL.
I don't think he's officially retired.
Nope.
Montreal. He's standing by the phone. I'm just saying. They need defensive help.
Yeah,
Roman Polak.
Auston Matthews does look great. There are a lot of articles being written about him already, and I think it's way, way, way too early. People going, well, could be in the Hart conversation. I'm like, guys, 6 games.
It is not too early.
No.
Matthews has proven that he is 1-2 with Erik Karlsson.
He's the best player in the world.
As the best 2 players in the world.
Have the Sens lost in regulation yet?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
And they're getting him back.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Like, he could have waited. He could have been like, yeah, I'll take my time.
You don't want to screw up their chemistry.
I don't think he will.
Yeah, me neither.
Anytime you add a quarterback, quite literally a guy who can play quarterback with a puck and throw it up the ice and hit you, I think you're good.
So gross.
Yeah.
It's reinforcements that they didn't even need.
Mm-hmm. It's like the trade deadline came early and they got the best
Erik
defenseman in the league.
Karlsson?
Yeah.
No, the best player, period.
Best. Well, I love people on Twitter because
Guy Boucher
anytime
and his little daggers.
a coach like Guy Boucher, first off, and you've always said this, plays mind games with everybody.
You know, I'm glad the Leafs got Mike Babcock, but God, Guy Boucher would have been fun.
He would have been great.
He would have been fun, too. Yeah.
Well, the first time I think you ever mentioned Guy Boucher's name, it was in reference to James Reimer. And this was a press conference when he was coaching Tampa. What did he say?
He goes, I think it's...
Because Reimer was on a hot streak.
Yeah, we know the book on James Reimer. And I think he had his first bad game of his career. And everyone was like, Guy Boucher, Reimer destroyer.
Right. And he said, what did he say? Like bad blocker or something like that? Or
He's got a bad glove or something like that.
That's what it was.
And then Bond music played.
So when coaches make those pronouncements, I just love the fact that Guy Boucher took Erik Karlsson coming back. And it's not about whether that Franken ankle of his is going to work or not. It's about whether or not he's the best player in the world. That's what the discourse becomes.
Yep.
It's not about, hey, is he going to be the same player because half of his ankle is Kevlar?
Tourist trade rumors? What?
It's now,
what?
I don't think Erik Karlsson is the best defenseman in the league. That's crazy.
Took out seats? What? Huh? No,
Smart.
Couldn't be. Best player in the world.
Smart.
I'm really excited for the tweets we're going to get. Actually, there is an argument to be had that Erik Karlsson is the best player in the world. I just thought I would throw that out there. Okay, anyway, continue.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Go ahead and make that argument. You know what I don't care about? Who the best player in the league is. There are several great players in the league.
First of all, Auston Matthews.
Well, yeah.
I like the conversation.
Do you like the conversation? I get so tired of this shit.
Crosby, McDavid, Karlsson, Matthews. Who you got?
if I had to take one for my blank slate team, Connor McDavid.
Yeah, because Connor McDavid has more good years ahead of him, conceivably, than Sidney Crosby.
In their prime.
Ooh. Well, we don't even know what Crosby McDavid's prime is.
Assume McDavid's prime is slightly better than what he is.
Well, then, yeah.
No,
I'm
I think-
obviously
I think-
taking the better player, Jesse.
No, each one.
It's not a very good stipulation.
Okay,
you just
okay,
threw
Each
on
one of
there.
them at 21.
Because
we know what McDavid looks like at 21.
Okay.
Well, Crosby was just coming off a win in the heart, I think.
Yeah.
So is McDavid.
McDavid.
Oh, shit.
And the Ross.
Oh, and Matthews is going
And
to
then
get
Matthews
it, too.
going to get it this
oh,
year.
Oh, my God, you're right.
And Erik Karlsson, that bum. No heart.
Did he win a heart?
No.
No.
Just a measly Norris.
Yeah.
All right, so he's out. So
Yeah.
now we have 3.
Yeah. I mean, he might look like a musketeer, and that's cool and all.
Yeah.
But
you know what? You guys convinced me. Matthews.
Last
Matthews.
we had the conversation on the podcast of if Carey Price was the best player in the world. And for a
I
little
think
bit, he was.
I think he was.
Totally.
And I think that does change from time to time. I guess my problem with the debate is ultimately, as a conversationalist, where does it get us? It's worse to me than hypothetical trades, which I'll talk about all day. But it's just it's the same shit every time. Your team has the best guy. I'm an Oilers fan, so it's McDavid. I'm a Sens fan, so it's Karlsson. I'm a Leafs fan, so it's Matthews. I'm a Pens fan, so it's Crosby. I'm a Caps fan for a while, so it's Ovechkin. Like, duh. Freaking duh.
No, but I think those conversations are what makes sports fun.
Really?
Like debating, is Steph Curry's run in 2015 better than anything LeBron's ever done in his career? Talking about that's
Skip Bayless.
Talking about that's fun.
LeBron's not a top 100 player.
Now, Skip. You know I love LeBron. Yes.
Yes, Steve.
But did you guys listen to the last episode of Merrick versus Wyshynski?
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
So good. Really, really good. And one of the conversations they had, Jeff Merrick's, I love when Jeff Merrick hates something. He's a little like me in that he cannot hide it. Not a lot of cards he's hiding. And he was talking about the frequent feedback you may get that is, we just want the sports talk to be like you're just hanging out in the bar. And Jeff Merrick goes, have you ever heard an intriguing sports conversation in a bar?
No.
Ever once?
That's so true.
It is so true. But Wish brought up, I don't remember where he was, but it was somewhere in Canada. He overheard a bar conversation. All these people were like, who is the best player of all time? Is it Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, or Mario Lemieux? And he heard these 4 hosers go back and forth about, well, when Wayne was out there, he made them all sound Irish for some reason, which is impression
Canadian sounds a bit Irish sometimes.
Diddly dee. Out Wayne Gretzky
Well,
and Gordie O'Howe. And
that's how a lot of Canada sometimes sounds, man.
I guess you're right. But
It's true.
he said, I can't remember the comparison he made for it, but like it's such a crap conversation, but he went to Canada, heard it, and he was just like, I got to hear it live and in person. That's so neat. But it's a silly conversation, but it's also one you can have for hours.
Yeah.
And learn nothing from, but you can have it for
And
hours.
I think the trade conversation, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's fun because we have no answers and it just goes on forever.
If you take Sidney Crosby and put him on the Washington Capitals,
We did that.
I know.
That is our most watched video ever on our YouTube channel.
Should the Capitals trade Ovechkin?
No, it's how would Sidney Crosby perform? What if you swapped Crosby and Ovechkin?
Oh, it was a good question.
Part of that
Wasn't
is
that a
your
press conference
dastardly
question?
Yeah, I
thumbnails.
think we just threw it out there.
Damn
and
good
then,
question.
Yeah, so it's fun. I don't know. I have fun doing it.
I don't know. Here's my frustration with it is that it's maybe not that it's a bad question. It's that it's overdone. We have these conversations every year. And who's the best player of all time? Well, I think Lemieux. Well, I think Orr. Well, I think Gretzky. Era adjusted. This and that. Like after a while, I'm like, okay, we've been there. Let's talk about something else. And a part of what makes sports broadcasting so great is that you have those discussions and you repeat those discussions. And every time you have those discussions, different people are listening, right? And you have to make these grand pronouncements. You must say something, and that is final. And then another guy comes in and he says, no, but this is final, and it is an equal and exact opposite.
Yeah.
And then it explodes, and I love that. It's a beautiful thing, sports talk. But I also go, okay.
Wow, Carey Price is off to a very good start. He's the best player in the world!
That's what it has to be sometimes.
Yeah,
Anyway.
half of sports talk is somebody saying something definitive that is subjective.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of nuance in there, a little bit of creativity. I was writing an era-adjusted piece, and the thesis was essentially Jaromir Jagr's good, which is not interesting at all. At all. And Mike Cormack from Sportsnet goes, what are his 5 most impressive seasons? And so while I immediately go, I'm like, well, probably the ones where he scored the most points. He's like, well, he's also 45. So what about 2 years ago when he led his team in scoring and scored over 60 points? Is that not more impressive? And I go, So I actually had to think about it.
Cormac.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting thought, Cormac.
Yeah, as we continue our conversation on Irish people. Yes. No, and it was, I think it led to a much more interesting article that I wrote, and you can find on the Steve Dangle blog on sportsnet.ca. I wrote about his 5 most impressive seasons.
You know what else was most impressive?
What?
Malcolm Subban almost shutting out the Boston Bruins on Sunday night.
Almost, damn it.
Damn
it.
And I tweeted about it before it happened, and then he let in the goal, which really wasn't his fault.
Talk about his perfect game, Adam. Okay, Vegas, great start. Bruins, good God.
Yeah.
Right? They're bad,
But
eh?
they're still the Bruins, man.
The Bruins.
They're still the Bruins.
Wow. We're talking about Vegas and Boston. We hadn't even got to the Twitter thing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I forgot
Listen,
all about it.
we'll get to the Twitter thing in just a second. But Boston is Boston, just like Edmonton is Edmonton. I think it'll turn around.
It'll
Do I
clear
think
up.
Boston was what they are or is what they are 3 years ago? No.
Arizona
But they're still great.
hasn't won a game.
No,
Terrible.
and they should be better than
That's
this.
nuts.
But they haven't
Yeah.
looked good.
No, they haven't even
Yeah.
looked good.
But they're on the verge. They're not even on the verge. They're right at where you have such a bad start, you can't even come back from it. It just losing becomes itself. You know what I mean? It feeds
Detroit's
itself.
4-1, I believe.
Yeah.
Do they come back?
I think hot starts are more likely to slow down than bad starts are to heat up. I mean, okay, if you're 1-3-1 through 5, all right. If
you're 1-6-1,
if you're 0-6-1,
yeah,
like
or
that's-
7-5,
or whatever it is, like that's
We've been there.
That's crazy.
Hi,
oh yeah,
we've
been
been there.
How did it go? Didn't come back.
yeah.
Hey, actually, they did come back. They finished second last.
What is
Thanks,
it?
Edmonton.
In the NFL, if you start 0-2, your chances of making the playoffs are like less than 30%.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's
crazy.
Isn't it nuts?
Yeah, and there's
But that is the
one
equivalent.
0-4 team to ever make it in the history of the NFL. Something like that.
0-4?
Yeah.
And
I
they made
mean,
it.
that makes sense to me. It's incredible they came back from that.
Yeah. You're in a
wow.
full 4 games.
So, but anyway, yeah, and Shipachyov and Tuck also got their first goals. Shipachyov looks like a good player. Good player. It's nice that they actually decided to bring him up. And by the way, when they sent him down to Chicago, he never reported.
Oh, really?
He just stayed in Vegas and worked out, but he wasn't working out with the team. So there was something freaky going on there, and they were like, okay, we better let him play.
We're talking
wow.
about how McPhee is a very confusing GM and potentially dumb, but maybe he's dumb like a fox. He might be. Hey,
Man, they're
I'm
winning.
going to sign 800 defensemen.
Somebody asked me on Twitter, is it too early? And I think it's a fair question to ask. Is it too early to think that Vegas might be something? Yes.
yes.
Just like it's too early to think Edmonton won't.
Their two goalies
Crazy.
are Malcolm Subban and a guy who I'm fairly certain is not real. Again, like I think is a user-generated name. Maxim Legacy? We'll see about that.
What about Marc-Andre Fleury?
Injured.
Injured.
Oh, I do know that. Yeah, the concussion protocol. Not followed
Already
on that.
two pretty notable concussions. Fleury and Draisaitl.
Do we need to bring up Vegas Twitter to tell you that it's dumb, or do you know it's dumb and there's nothing else to really say?
You guys don't like Vegas Twitter?
No, there was a tweet, man.
See, no,
they apologized
you know
for
what
it.
it was?
Okay, for anybody who doesn't know, what happened?
It was a joke from the Ted movie.
That they
Bombed. They bombed, and they basically
bombed.
turned all of the Boston starting forwards into females' names, which is highly misogynist, and we get it. But here's the thing: and then they doubled down, which was super dumb. Okay, not only did they fuck up, but they doubled down on it and like, oh, I guess nobody gets a joke on Twitter.com, and I'm like,
less than a week removed. Less than a week removed from everyone writing about meet the man behind the Twitter account.
yeah, and
They did all these profiles on him, and then first 2
Milkshake
week.
duck.
Milkshake Duck did go to Vegas.
Yeah, is that Milkshake Duck? I guess
No,
it is.
I don't think it is because he'd have to be like
it
Milkshake
would
Duck
have
is
to be-
like it has to be like he's a racist.
Yeah,
or something, you know?
Milkshake Duck is racist.
Yeah.
Has to be like Milkshake Goose.
But do we need? Okay, but a lot of people said like, can you please talk about this? Well, I mean, we know what's wrong. It's misogynist and it's stupid, and they should have apologized and deleted it immediately, and they didn't, and that was dumb. What else is there to say?
Have they done that since?
They did, but not from their own account.
They
which
they
was
apologized
strange.
from something else.
Like ABC
like a
News or
PR?
something like that.
Yeah, they
or-
sent out a statement. Anyway, it's so stupid, and I can't believe that could pass. And yeah, but I don't know what else to say.
It was a few things. It was a perfect storm. Everyone, a lot of people hated the Vegas Twitter account already for the wrong reasons. They were having silly fun
And people hate that.
You thought was a little over the top and a little bit much. That's enough, Vegas. That's enough. Oh my God, I hate this Twitter account. Oh my God. And then they slipped up and everyone went, and like, but when you slip up like that, that's what you invite. That's what you invite.
And they were doing the entire game in a Bruins accent, so they were writing every tweet as a. That's why it's Bruins.
Like a Boston accent?
Boston accent. Sorry, yeah.
It was an interesting debate. Like people are talking about, like just because it's unfunny, does that make it like so that you have to apologize for it? Well, if it's unfunny
To an
and
entire
that,
gender, yeah, I
that's the
think
thing.
so.
But I think okay. So I understand what they were going for. I genuinely, I'm going to get heat for this. Genuinely, don't think they were trying to be misogynist. I don't think they were trying to.
Right.
I think they bombed and they bombed epically. They bombed so hard.
I don't think they were trying to be misogynist either. What I would say is this. Just like goaltender interference, sometimes you're not trying to and you are anyway. Right?
Interesting.
Sometimes you accidentally slash someone.
Yeah.
What they should have done.
And that's the thing, is that it doesn't mean you shouldn't be penalized for it. You learn from it, you move on from it. People will get on with their lives. It is just one tweet. This isn't like a systemic issue with the Vegas Twitter account. However, unacceptable.
You know what it is?
And they apologize.
Your first career L.
Yeah.
And you don't want it. You don't want to admit your first career L. So that I think is why they doubled down. If they immediately go, you know what, you're right. You know what, messed it up.
Our bad.
Because they were going for a joke from a movie. Dude, I didn't get it. I saw that movie. I didn't get it.
Man, I don't remember
It was
that
a
joke.
bomb. It was a bomb, regardless of how you look at it.
That's
And it's
such
wrong.
a deep reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were just trying to. They probably sat down and had a brainstorming session. Okay, what do we
Dude,
know?
you're a social
What do we
media
associate
professional.
with Boston?
yeah.
The movie Ted. That Mark Wahlberg, that sort of thing. Like, what else?
And it's a bear, which double. You see double
Ted, bear.
entendre. I mean, you can't. I mean, you're looking down at your desktop, or even maybe it's from your phone, and you got a lineup, and it's just all women's names. Unless you're covering the Women's World Cup, like it's I'm surprised that someone who they don't just let interns do this anymore. You know what I
No.
mean?
Used to be.
Yeah, but it's not like that anymore. It's professionals. Story Sarah's came on. That was a very informative podcast. Talked about how difficult it is and how in-depth it is. I have a hard time believing a social media professional was like, and good idea. And then they clicked send on that.
Well, I think everybody can agree with that. I don't think anybody looked at that tweet and thought, how did they not know that this was going to be the reaction?
I think Greg Wyshynski was even like, ooh, yeah, no, I know what you were going for, but you bombed.
Yeah, wrong.
No, wrong. Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah. Anyway, when stuff like that comes up, sometimes I want to talk about it. Sometimes I'm like, everybody kind of knows how stupid that is and why it's stupid, right?
Well, and then the inevitable, here's why it was funny.
Oh,
From probably white guy.
I'm reading through the Boston accent tweets, and they're not funny.
You know how many faceless
from probably white guy on Twitter at probably white
at
guy.
probably white guy.
Is it an account, Jesse?
Here's why Barstool isn't
Well, I
sexist.
know
Well, maybe
my
I didn't
next
ask
handle.
you.
Your next handle, probably white guy.
Smart insider man. And his alleged source, probably white guy. Allegedly, maybe.
By the way, Smart Insider Man has been quiet, man.
Oh, I don't think that's going to stay that way,
Maybe
Adam.
we need the truth. What happened to the truth?
Oh, the truth is coming.
Is there going to be a reckoning of truth?
Adam, the truth waits for no one, but you can wait for the truth. When there is truth to be told, smart insider man will tell it, along with his maybe real source, probably white guy. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of this internet.
Those jokes, not funny.
Yep.
And not fair and not kind. So let's just move on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jesse, did you say no?
Okay.
I said sweet.
Sweet.
Oh,
All right. Hey, let's
right.
do the press conference, shall we?
Hockey cards.
Oh, damn. Okay, so Jesse bought the hockey card packs, and we're going to have a competition. Do we have
Steve
any
has to
questions,
lead.
though,
No.
Dan?
No, he doesn't. There it is.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we get one question.
Who goes first?
We'll play the same game that we played before.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
First up,
I like that Ron introduced that to our show.
I have an Aaron Ekblad.
Ooh, that's a good start.
Steve, you go next.
Okay. I've never heard of this guy. Who is that? Is that a rookie?
Nick Joklach Echlers.
Nikolai Ehlers. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Never heard of him.
Nikolai-
Anyway.
Is he
I
playing
think I'm
for
winning.
Winnipeg? Winnipeg.
Yes, I know who he is. Shut up.
Nikolai Ehlers. I have the man himself, Tim Horton.
All right.
Which is the Joker.
Damn.
Damn it.
Tim Horton in a Leaf jersey.
Adam's up 1-0.
That's not fair.
I have number 2, Aaron Ekblad.
Actually?
Two Ekblads?
2 Ekblads.
Oh, you got the game day
Yep.
thing
Game day.
for Ekblad?
All right, beat Ekblad again.
I got game day action. Max Pacioretty.
Ooh, that's who's better? Pacioretty or Ekblad? I'm taking Pacioretty.
That's tough. I think I would go with
Is
Pacioretty
Adam
as
going
well.
to trump us?
I have a stat makers Evgeny Malkin.
Adam wins.
Adam wins 2. He does 2.
I already won. I've already
2-0.
won this game. But we'll
I
play
have
for pride.
Is Adam a favorite for the Hart Trophy?
A Dustin Bufflin.
Ooh.
By Fuyu Julian.
By
By
Fuyu
Fuyu Julian. Oh, I got another right-handed defenseman. Noted Norris winner, Drew Doughty.
Wow.
Podcast guest.
Drew
Friend of the show, you might say.
Drew Doughty.
And
Fought.
I have Minnesota goaltender Devin Dubnyk.
That's a good one. No, Doughty.
Yeah, it's no doubty on that one.
You see.
Press conference question. Let's do it.
I think this marks the first time Jesse's never won anything. Ever.
It will not last.
No.
Because we never talk about it, I have to ask this question.
Yes, I do think he'll score 2 goals tonight.
When do you think Babcock will lean heavier on Matthews? That's from Near Knee. He has started
the
the
question
season.
you had to ask?
He has started the season around 17 minutes per game. When do you think we'll see him jump up to 20 minutes?
Well, when the Leafs take fewer penalties.
Yeah, when they stop calling 18 penalties a game, he'll jump over 20
Yeah,
minutes.
I forgot to mention in my LFR, the Habs game, 4 minors.
That's it.
That's it. I feel like it should be double that each. I wondered that myself during the Devils game because I think the Leafs, they made it 5-3 and Matthews had just scored and it was about like 6 minutes left or something like that, and I see Matthews on the ice and I was just like, he should not leave the ice. He should not leave the
Yeah,
ice.
he's excellent. I think
But what's the thing about the Leafs is they have all this
they have the
crazy-
depth, so why not, right? And if you can have Matthews fresh in overtime, it's obviously worked out for them a couple times this year already, right?
Yeah, they're 4-1. It's
Although maybe you don't have to go to overtime if he plays a couple more minutes. But I don't know.
well, fair, but it's still October, and you certainly don't want to burn a guy like Matthews out.
And it is
Early.
still October. Game 6.
If they're struggling, maybe he plays more. They're not.
Jesse,
The
next
problem
question.
is not offense.
Final
That's-
question.
Oh, final question.
How long is McElhaney's leash? This is from 01 Shalfers.
That's a damn good
Yeah,
question.
we're going to find out tomorrow night.
Is he playing tomorrow?
He is the confirmed starter against the Detroit Red Wings. On the second half of a back-to-back, I think travel is involved. The life of a backup.
Washington to Detroit.
So when do we see Picard?
Captain Picard? Pickard? I don't know.
I'm calling him Picard, by the way.
Yeah, he has to be
I don't know.
Picard. He's Captain Picard.
Yeah.
Even in your videos, he has to be
It's a
Captain
thing.
Picard, and you got to have the Star Wars or the Star Trek thing. It's important.
I'll just call him Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
I'll just be like,
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
if I ever get the chance to interview him, love doing X-Men. Love doing X-Men. You're so good.
You're probably the 80th person to do that to him too. Like, I mean, he's probably had that so many times. He just wants to kill people.
I just start doing the reference wrong. Beam me up, Calvin.
That's good.
Oh, Adam's gonna pass out. Oh, he hates it so much.
Especially saying it that way, it's so douchey. Like, that is the most douchey you could say. Beam me up, Calvin.
Beam me up, Calvin.
Like,
it's like Captain.
But it's Calvin.
But it's Calvin.
And he's Picard, even though it's Pickard. See? You see? There's so much. So much there. If you can...
I'm so not proud.
If you can do that and he doesn't punch you out, I will be genuinely impressed. I mean, so it means you have to try it. I'll also buy you your very own James Reimer doll if you ask Calvin Pickard to beam you up.
See, if he does punch me, maybe I could Kasky sue him.
That's funny.
I'm sure it would spark quite the rivalry.
What?
Anyway.
AHL goaltenders. Well, now that I have that market cornered.
Anyways, come see us on Sunday for this terribleness.
SD Podcast. SD Podcast. Marlies.ca. Buy your tickets. We'll see you Sunday afternoon for Steve Dangle Podcast night.
I don't think we talked enough about Matthews. So.
I don't think we did either.
No. I mean, we're worse than the mainstream media.
Yeah.
One day he'll get his due.
Is he good?
He might be.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.